What if the single most powerful way to set yourself free today isn't another habit, another plan, or another achievement, but one radical shift of the heart? Forgive. Forgive yourself. Forgive the people around you. Forgive the world for being what it is. Not because anyone has perfectly earned it in the court of your mind, but because forgiveness is how you reclaim your own life. You can't give what you don't taste within yourself. The moment you begin to forgive, you loosen the knots that keep you small. The moment you forgive, you remember your freedom. A judging mind divides the world into fragments. It separates, labels, and stacks everything into drawers marked good, bad, right, wrong, me, not me. It feels powerful at first, like organizing a messy room, but there's a hidden cost. The heart shuts. Every judgment becomes a tiny lock on a tiny door inside your head. Picture those doors lined up along your inner hallway, each one guarding some grievance. You pass them every day. The friend who disappointed you, the colleague who undercut you, the parent who didn't see you, and each door is watched by a stern guard whispering, no entry, no warmth, no flow. Those no's don't just block other people, they block you from your own aliveness. They are emotional no's to the universe as it is. They are no's to the present moment. And the price of all those no's is your peace. Here's the sting. Even when your judgment is accurate, even when your logic is impeccable, the cost might be greater than the victory. You can be right and still feel lifeless inside, right and still be dead to the living spirit within you. At some point, your deepest self wants freedom more than it wants to be right. That is the moment you turn toward forgiveness, not because the other party has checked every box, but because you are done being chained to the story, because your soul is hungry to breathe. Forgiveness is a rung on the ladder from dualism to non-dual awareness. In dualism, it's me against you, us against them, a constant calculus of blame and defense. In non-dual awareness, there's spaciousness. There's a recognition that we are both human, that we have both stumbled, that we are both learning. Even a simple inner whisper, of course you are human. Of course all of us do this sometimes, can unlatch the door and let the heart open again. And when the heart opens, your life opens. One of my teachers used to say that forgiveness is the most powerful weapon you'll ever wield, not to win a war, but to end the inner war. If you are to pass into your own inner temple, into that still room where you meet what's sacred, you cannot leave enemies behind. Leave nothing waiting in the hallway. Bring everything into the light of your compassion. Consider the parent you could never get along with. Maybe you walked away to start your own life, and it even felt necessary. But if their name or face still tightens your chest, if a stray memory still sparks anger, grief, pity, or a rush of old hurt, there's a thread binding you. That thread is attachment, not loving connection, but sticky identification with the role they played and the role you had to play in response. To continue on your path, you have to work with that thread. What does it mean to set it right? It doesn't mean rewriting history or pretending the harm didn't happen. It means reperceiving that person with unconditional compassion. See them not just as the parent in your personal storyline, but as a soul, a being of spirit, walking their own path, at their own stage of evolution, wearing a particular body, wrapped in a particular personality, shaped by causes and conditions that stretch beyond your sight. Recognize that the roles, the social masks, the temperaments, all of it is just clothing. Your attachment is to the clothing. When you're defined by your attachment to someone's costume, you keep both of you stuck in a play that ended long ago. The moment you glimpse the essence behind the costume, call it spirit, call it God, call it the spark, something softens. You are no longer tying yourself to their mask, and you're not tying them to it either. That's when both of you begin to be free. It is not easy to let go of a hardened image of someone you've carried for years. You may have spent a lifetime polishing that portrait, adding every little detail of how they are. how they always are. But until that fixed portrait is replaced by a compassionate seeing, you remain confined inside your own frame. Compassion doesn't mean excusing or enabling. It means seeing clearly with love. It means holding the complexity and still choosing to keep your heart open. The most important task is not to fix other people, but to work on yourself. Put your own house in order again and again at every stage of the journey. Even ancient wisdom points there. Before you bring your offering to the altar, make peace where you can. Clean up your side. Reconcile if possible. If you can't reconcile in person, reconcile inside your heart by releasing blame and affirming the shared humanity you both inhabit. We spend most of our lives inside relationships. Family, friends, partners, co-workers, strangers who brush against us in the marketplace of the day. Why not make those relationships your yoga, your practice? Every encounter can be a meditation bell. Watch where you grasp, where you push, where you stiffen, where you judge, where you defend, where you idealize. Let your life be your teacher. Study the patterns as they arise, with curiosity, with patience, with the courage to tell yourself the truth. From the level of the personality, judgment seems like a useful tool. It sorts, protects, organizes. But the soul has a different instrument: appreciation. From the viewpoint of the soul, each of us is working out our own karma, our own lessons. We meet, we collide, we mirror each other, and in those interactions we gently, or sometimes sharply, wake one another up. Seen this way, the difficult person isn't a glitch in your path. They are part of the path. They are, in a strange and often uncomfortable gift, your teacher. Appreciating this doesn't mean you abandon boundaries. It means your boundaries are informed by love, not fueled by bitterness. This shift from judging to appreciating transforms your field of awareness into simple, loving presence. Loving awareness doesn't turn away from pain. It doesn't pretend broken things aren't broken. It simply refuses to add extra layers of separation. Loving awareness says, here is the pain, here is the lesson, here is the mystery, and I am willing to be with it without closing my heart. To be free is to open your heart to the fullness of who you already are. When you rest in that unity, even for a moment, you rediscover a fresh appreciation for the wild diversity of the world. The many are seen within the one. True compassion flows from that place where the boundary between you and me softens. I am you, you are me. We are different expressions, but one essence. In that seeing, you don't relate to another person from across a distance. For a moment, you become them. Their suffering isn't out there anymore, it vibrates inside the same space you call you. And because it's inside, you respond as you would to your own aching knee. Gently, skillfully, with care. I saw this in my own relationship with my father when death drew near. For years, we both tried to shape each other into our preferred versions. He wanted me to be a kind of person that made sense to him. I wanted him to be the father I thought he should be. We were bound by our portraits of each other, but as the end approached, something softened. I finally allowed him to be who he was. He stopped trying to paint me into his ideal. Two stubborn painters put down their brushes and looked at the living face in front of them. We became friends, not perfect people, not perfect roles. Friends. And in that simple friendship, there was an immense peace, the kind that makes the air feel hushed. Forgiveness did not change the past. It changed our presence to one another. This is the path for all of us. We are a single, messy, luminous family learning to love in real time. Behind our different costumes, there is one loving awareness, one shared home. May you feel yourself belonging to that love, not as an idea, but as a lived truth in your breath and bones. If a life of spirit means anything, it means using your daily existence to become freer and kinder for the sake of everyone you touch. The most helpful thing you can do for another person is to work on yourself, to dissolve the sense of separation within you. The more you rest in your own unity, the more naturally you move through the world as a force of healing. Compassion, then, isn't a performance. It's the gravity of your being. It pulls toward justice where harm has been done. It leans toward peace where conflict has calcified. It recognizes, again and again, that we belong to one another. Let's bring this down to earth. Imagine a hallway of those locked doors in your mind. On one door is the name of the friend who betrayed your trust. On another, the sibling who never called back. On another, the co-worker who took credit. Each door feels justified, but walk up close and feel the cold metal. Feel what it costs you to keep the guard posted. The clenched jaw, the quiet fatigue, the mood that never quite lifts. Now try something radical. Place your hand on one door and whisper, "I release you." Not because it was okay, but because I will not carry this forever. Remember a moment when that person was also a struggling human being, a crack in their armor, a flicker of fear in their eyes. Picture the child they once were. See the strange mixture of forces that made them who they are. And then unlock it. Not once and done, but as a practice. You may have to revisit it, that's fine. Each time, a little more air moves through your heart. Forgiveness doesn't erase healthy boundaries. Sometimes the most compassionate act is distance. Sometimes you forgive and do not return to the same dynamics. Forgiveness is not pretending you're not hurt. It's letting the hurt teach you without defining you. It is choosing your freedom over your resentment again and again with humility. It is letting reality be what it was while refusing to let it govern who you are becoming. Halfway through this, pause and check in with yourself. Where is your hardest doorway? Who or what lives behind that locked room? I'd love to hear the one place you're most ready to practice forgiveness. Share it in the comments. Your courage might loosen someone else's lock. And if this exploration is resonating, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It helps bring these conversations to more people who are ready to lay down their armor and open their hearts. Forgiving yourself is part of this work too. Some of the heaviest doors carry your own name. You judge your past choices, your missed chances, your worst days. You make a closed case out of yourself. But the self you've condemned is also a being in evolution, a soul learning under conditions you barely understood at the time. Can you look at your old self with the same mercy you would offer a scared child? Self-forgiveness is not letting yourself off the hook. It's closing the loop with love. It's saying, I see the cost of those actions. I'm responsible for repairing where I can. And I also release the constant punishment. I'm not just my mistakes, I'm the awareness learning from them. On the path of practice, you start to feel the subtle difference between a boundary drawn from fear and one drawn from love. Fear says, I reject you, you are bad. Love says, I respect both our dignity. Here is the space that keeps us honest. Fear hardens your heart and calls it strength. Love keeps your heart open and calls it clarity. You can say no with an open heart. You can walk away with kindness. You can be firm without being cruel. This is part of forgiveness too. As you cultivate loving awareness, you'll notice how your perception changes. In the past, you might have fixated on how someone failed you, turning their mistake into their identity. Now you can hold their mistake in one hand and their humanity in the other. You can appreciate what they taught you, even if they never knew they were teaching. Maybe they taught you to set better boundaries. Maybe they showed you what kind of partner you never want to be. Maybe their absence revealed the strength of your own presence. Appreciation doesn't sugarcoat, it integrates. It says, all of this belongs in the tapestry, and I'm not closing my heart to it. Over time, forgiveness becomes less of an event and more of a posture. It becomes the way you meet the world, with an undefended heart and a wise mind. You still take action. You still protect what matters. but you don't carry the extra weight of bitterness. That's why it feels like a gift you give yourself. You reclaim your energy. You stop rehearsing the case against reality. You let the river of your life flow again. And when the current of your life flows, you discover something else, a quiet strength. You become less reactive and more responsive. You listen more deeply. You speak more cleanly. Your presence becomes a refuge for others, not because you are perfect, but because you are available. People feel safer around a heart that isn't bristling with old thorns. Remember, we are leading one another home. Sometimes you're the one who holds up a lantern. Sometimes the lantern is held for you. Sometimes home is a person's steady gaze that says, "I see you and I'm not turning away." Sometimes home is a long walk alone in the dusk, where you forgive yourself for what you didn't know. Whatever your path looks like, forgiveness is the door you keep opening again and again until the hallway is full of light. So today, choose one lock to loosen, one portrait to soften, one person, maybe yourself, to see not as a role or a mistake, but as a soul. When you do, notice how your chest feels. Notice the breath. Notice the small, almost imperceptible click of a door unlatching. That sound is your freedom beginning. May you come to rest in the awareness that there is only one of us here, wearing countless faces. May you grow skillful in compassion, brave in truth, and steady in peace. And may your forgiveness, however imperfect, however slow, become the bridge by which we all cross back into our shared home.